Banjos and banjo players have an image problem. Don't believe me? Got some banjo jokes for you. Here's just a few of the wonderful jokes there are about banjos and banjo players. What's the difference between a chainsaw and a banjo? You can always tune up the chainsaw. Terrorists hijacked a plane full of banjo players going to a convention. They told authorities that unless their demands were met, they would begin releasing the banjo players. What's the difference between a harmonica player and a banjo player? The harmonica player only sucks half the time. What's the difference between a banjo and a trampoline? Oh, yeah, you have to take off your shoes to jump on a trampoline. And this one really gets to the crux of the issue. How long does it take to tune a banjo? No one knows. Well, those are wonderful. Banjos and banjo players have an image problem. The reason? Maybe bad intonation has something to do with it. Banjos have what's called a floating bridge, which means the bridge isn't attached to the banjo in any way. On one hand, that's good, because it means that you can change out the head. On the other hand, it can cause problems. Since the bridge on a banjo can move, many banjo players don't quite know where it should go. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to find out where it should go. Here, I have a banjo. It's a pretty nice banjo. It's a During Good Times special. It's got a stainless steel tone ring, and as you can hear, it is perfectly in tune. Sounds great, right? But as you can see, the bridge is in a place that looks pretty corny. Now, it doesn't just look corny, it also sounds corny. This is going to throw the intonation way out of whack. When I fret this note, it's going to be pretty bad. Alright, so this note fretted at the 5th fret should be the same as this note, but it's not. The culprit? The dorky looking bridge. Let's play a little bit of Cripple Creek, shall we? Do I have to go on? It's pretty out. Let's look at one more thing. If you're faint of heart, then plug your ears. Alright, so there's an all-important interval in bluegrass. Basically, it's this note right here, but on this string. So in Foggy Mountain Breakdown and stuff like this, we go... You get the idea. So how do we fix it? Let's head to the garage and find out. In a hurry. Quickly. Please. Alright. Let's get this thing fixed up, because right now it is a bit of an atrocity. Okay, well, this is actually a pretty simple process. There's two main metrics that I use to make sure the bridge is in the right place. The first one is checking the 12th fret harmonic. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what a harmonic is, it's basically if you touch the string halfway between the nut and the bridge, you will get a clear sound. Now, if I touch it somewhere else, like up here, it doesn't resonate. There's only certain places on the length of the string where it'll resonate like that, and the strongest one is usually halfway. You get a nice, strong, continued resonance there. So right now, it's there at about over the 10th fret. Which is weird because it's called the 12th fret harmonic. Yeah, basically, the 12th fret harmonic needs to be over the 12th fret. That's one good way to make sure your intonation is close. So now let's think for a second. Since right now we can find the 12th fret harmonic and it's before the 12th fret, and we need to make it move to the 12th fret, you can imagine how moving the center of the string would require moving the bridge back. So right now the center of the string is about right there, and we want it to be here. So to get the center to move, we need to move the bridge back. So let's try moving it back a bit and see what happens. We're closer. Right now we're just before the 12th fret, so we need to move it back just a little bit more. Another thing you'll notice is when you move the bridge, the banjo goes out of tune. Don't worry about that because we're going to tune it after we get it roughly put in the right spot. Sounds like it's about in the right place right now. Let's just say for a second that your bridge was too far back to begin with. Oh look, my bridge is too far back. Okay. If the bridge were, say, behind where it's supposed to be, on the tailpiece side of where it's supposed to be, then the 12th fret harmonic is going to be on the tailpiece side of the 12th fret. If, however, the bridge is on the neck side of where it's supposed to be, the 12th fret harmonic is going to be on the neck side of the 12th fret. So you want the 12th fret harmonic to be right over the 12th fret, which should be right about there. There it is, just about over the 12th fret. That's a good way to approximate your intonation. But we want the intonation to be as perfect as possible. Do is go ahead and tune our banjo. Be back in just a second. Alright, that's pretty close to in tune. Let's check the high D. The high D is dead on in tune. Okay, so we want the high D string fretted at the 12th fret to be the same note as the high D plucked open. And right now, that's just a tad sharp. Alright, so if the 12th fret harmonic is halfway between the bridge and the nut, then the 12th fret should also be about halfway between the bridge and the nut. So the fact that it's sharp means that there's less space between the 12th fret and the bridge than there is between the 12th fret and the nut. So we need to move the bridge back to equalize that space. So let's just move it a touch back. Check to make sure that our string is still in tune. And test again. That's just about dead on. Now let's check the low D string, since it's kind of on the other side of the bridge. Alright, that's a dead on D there. Ugh, also sharp. So we need to move that one back too. Alright, now that's reading dead on. So now that we got the high D and the low D in check, let's check on the high G. Now the high G is a little bit different because the high G only comes in at the 5th fret. That means that the halfway point for the high G is actually the 17th as opposed to the 12th. And now that we've got the high D and the low D set, the high G is pretty close too. As a matter of fact, I bet these other strings are going to be about dead on as well. Yeah, that's sounding pretty good. Alright, so basically if you get your high D and your low D in check, then the rest of it will kind of fall into place. But I should mention, depending on how sensitive your tuner is, it may not be perfect. And the reason for that is, different gauges of string require slightly different bridge placements. In order to get this perfect, you'd have to have something that's called a compensated bridge. And a compensated bridge, basically, it's not quite straight. The places where the strings contact the bridge are either closer to the neck or closer to the bridge is required. There's lots of banjo makers and lots of bridge makers that sell bridges like this, and they're not too hard to come by. But you'd have to experiment with different compensated bridges depending on the string gauges that you're using. That said, it's not going to make so much of a difference that your friends will plug up their ears upon hearing you play. After you get your bridge placed correctly, it can't hurt to mark the edges with a well-sharpened pencil. So if your bridge gets knocked out of place or you have to remove it for something like air travel, you've got a nice shortcut to getting it back in the right spot. Thanks for joining me and helping to spread well-intonated banjos to the four corners of the earth. And to end bad banjo jokes. The moment of truth.